subscribe. Tariq Radio. Like and subscribe.
Let's get Brother Sonny in the building. Let's get Brother Sonny in the building, and y'all raise those hands. Brother Sonny, what's going on?
Going on? Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. What's up, brother?
What's going on? This the case, and I'm gonna be brief. This is in the middle of Texas, if I'm not mistaken, where you can literally walk around with a full blown Rambo assault rifle, AK-47, going to go get a watermelon at Walmart, and it's just nothing. Why are they like trying to be so hyper fixated on this knife that he had?
Yeah.
For two, the whole thing is it seems like they try to like put a negative stigma and almost criminalize black self-preservation. So that's why anytime they see somebody fighting against a bully complex, they all of a sudden try to like criminalize them, because literally a pocket knife versus two big white dudes running up on you. It's not, he didn't intentionally start the issue. He's just neutralizing the threat. Meanwhile, these supremacists will walk up into sacred places, churches, schools, buildings with full blown weaponry and picking on who they perceive to be soft targets. You whacking, some 75-year-old man with his social security check, but all of a sudden him defending himself is such a big deal. They idolize Derek Chauvin, Trayvon Martin, the Zimmermans, and all of that. I don't care about none of that. I hope that brother free. But what's your take on that?
Yeah,
And then you
yeah.
can drop it down.
Thank you so much, and very good point. They sit up here and walk around with weapons and guns, and I keep seeing the alt-right folks talking about, well, why did he have that little knife at the track meet? Why did he have it? Why? Yeah, because he could, because he probably needed it for protection in a state where everybody's walking around with guns. Y'all got to understand, in Texas, you have these suspected white supremacists who go around here doing open carry marches and walks. You always see cases of these guys, some of these little alt-right dudes walking around with an AK, and they'll try to walk to a black neighborhood. Fortunately, the brothers and sisters shut the shit down, though. They didn't let them get away with that. But they would do that in places like Ohio. But I think they tried a couple of times in Texas. They tried to do a little open carry walk in certain neighborhoods, and people are like, "Why are you doing that?" Well, it's my Second Amendment right. I'm just doing it because it's my right to do so. You see, they try to play that game. And then a lot of people in the community, it's like, well, we got a right to run up on you because you ain't gonna just be walking around here all willy-nilly and we ain't checking you. I know they tried that in Ohio. Some of the brothers checked those guys trying to walk up in neighborhoods, just walk around with a damn gun simply because you say you have the right to do so. See, and the alt-right people don't have a problem with that. They're like, well, he should be able to do that. He should be able to exercise his rights. Right. And you should be able to have a little pocket knife in your pocket just in case. Let's get Brother Robbie in the building.
Peace, brother Tariq. How you doing?
I'm good, Robbie. How are you, sir?
I just had a question for you, and maybe you could expand upon it, because how you're bringing up these alt-right guys. I had a question one time when I had a discourse with one of them, and I said, where was the adult supervision? Because when we start talking about lawsuits and things like that, I think Carmelo's family can look into that, because there should have been somebody in the faculty or some type of adult figure there, to make sure things didn't get out of hand. And then when they try to bring up the student handbook, and I'm white and I say so, in terms of conduct, I think bullying, uh, you know, is provocative, and that violates the student
Yes, it
code of
does.
conduct.
Yep.
So that's so bullying, making threats to somebody, and then lack of proper security and political, and parental supervision or adult supervision. Do you think that's, not only helps Carmelo, but his family could possibly sue?
Right.
And I'll land my plane.
Great point. See that then I talked about this the other day. They keep talking about how the knife might have been illegal and they're trying to figure out the length of the knife and all of that because that will determine whether it was quote unquote illegal or not. And if he had an illegal knife, he was in the commission of a crime. Well, no, what's a commission of a crime is bullying. Bullying and assaulting somebody because that big white boy, they put hands on him, and they're trying to make it seem like they just kind of grabbed grabbed his backpack and no, 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 no. You don't. You walked up to somebody trying to tell them what to do to get up out of a place where they had a right to sit. You're not in any authority to tell somebody to move. You tried to check somebody and then put your hands on somebody who didn't want to be touched, and you were given a verbal warning. Hey man, don't touch me. You touch me, you're gonna see it's gonna go down. You were given a verbal warning and then touched him anyway. That's a criminal act within itself. That's bullying. That goes against the handbook. I've seen some of the documents about bullying. Is that shit is not tolerated at all. Right. And our brother Anthony, Carmelo Anthony, enforced the anti-bullying policy. He enforced that policy. Let's get independent vetted network.
Hey, what up with you, Flex, man? Been rocking with you a while. Hey, man, I wanted to throw this little nugget in there I don't think nobody's been thinking about. Now, in this era of cell phones, you know what I'm saying? I cannot believe out of all those kids that were around them too, no cell phone footage has come out. And I'm gonna give it another little nugget because I got people down there in Texas. You know, a lot of them little white hick towns, I can almost bet you that police department probably has threatened people that if you publish any cell phone footage, you'll be threatened with jail time. So just a little nugget to throw out there.
Yeah.
And what do you think
You
about
know, and
that?
that's a good point because we haven't seen no footage at all. And this was at a little stadium, a little track thing. So they got cameras. You better believe they got some cameras. Let me tell you something. These folks know what happened. I'm pretty sure there's footage, and I'm thinking that listen, the fact that they ain't released no footage, that looks good on Carmelo Anthony. You understand? If they had some footage of Carmelo just jumping the gun and them not doing anything, boy, they would have that shit on Fox News looped. They'd be looping it back and forth. The fact that they're not releasing footage, when the police don't release footage, that means it's favoring the black person. That means it's in favor of the black person. Because yeah, I believe there got to be some kind of footage. There has to be. You see, in a place where there's a crowd of people, there's footage somewhere. Because they got security cameras. You got to have security cameras. You're at a game in a public place where there's a lot of people. You're going to have some kind of security cameras, so they know what's going on. And the fact that they're hiding or suppressing the footage, it probably shows them big white boys really trying to punch down on old dude. And if you were to see the footage, you'd be like, oh, hell yeah, he should have poked him and got the hell on up out of there. That's why I'm thinking they're so quiet about it. But yeah, they know how to look. They got footage. Hell, they got some damn footage. They got footage on everything. Family, look, y'all saw they had that footage of Diddy. Oh, they done dusted that footage of Diddy off from what damn near a decade ago. Boy, they had that, didn't they? They sure sat on that. Yeah, they'll sit on that when the time is right. They sat on that and waited till the time was right to dust it off and say, "Hey, look at this." So yeah, they always got footage of us if we're doing something janky. Boy, they got it in 4K. Boy, if we do something just like those um random attacks that happened in New York when they were trying to do that stop Asian hate propaganda, but they made sure all of those attacks that a lot of those Caribbean immigrants were engaging in, because most of those people they'd got some Caribbean immigrants doing all that shit. Well, they had that in full color, full 4K. You see. Well, let me get some more folks in here. Y'all raise them hands. Raise them hands in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get some new faces in here. Some folks we ain't talked to yet. Let's see. Snow. Let's get Snow in the building. Let's get Snow and then Supercharger. Want to get some. What's up, Snow?
Hey, I just had a quick question. I know about the premise of the situation, but I just wanted to ask. I mean, I've been hearing about this whole bullying situation apparently that was going on before. Do you know anything about that or
Yeah,
what was going on before that?
yeah. One of the spokespersons, alleged spokespersons for the family, said there wasn't that situation. There was no bullying before. There are some people who said it was. So I don't know. There's a lot of misinformation going on out there. Some
Right.
people said there was. Some people said that ain't true. Some people said it's rumors. So we don't know. That I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Snow?
No, that's it.
All right, Snow. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, Supercharger. Supercharger. All right.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
what's up, Supercharge?
What's up, Rick?
How you doing, brother?
All right, how you doing?
I'm good.
Hey, do you know Anton Daniels?
No, I don't. I kind of seen like some thumbnails of him or whatever. I haven't really watched this joint though.
Is he a tether?
I think he is. I think he is.
Man,
I think he is because he. I know he said some little slick shit about me, which he's just clout chasing. But
yeah, he either tether or he a Jesse Lee Peterson nephew or something.
yeah, but I think he's like a secret tether because yeah,
Yeah,
some of just his vibe and some of the little slick shit. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I'm not trying to give him no clout, but yeah, I think he's a tether. Yeah, I think and we got a lot of that. We got a lot of these little undercover tethers out here. We got a lot of them, family. That's the thing. We got a lot of these undercover tethers. When you start seeing people, because I know that dude was talking against reparations, and he also was talking about how I saw a clip where he was talking about how immigrants work so harder than us, and that's tether talk. We don't talk like that because that ain't true. That's tether talk. You know, when you hear people talk about how immigrants come over and do so well, when you hear somebody going with that narrative, that's tether talk. Yeah. Let's get the black receipt in the building. The black receipt. The black receipt. Oh, what? Oh, I tried to get you on black receipt. Black receipt, hop back on. Hop back on, black receipt. And unmute your mic, sir.
What's going on, my brother
I'm
Tariq?
good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Say, one thing about Dallas, we have an influx of immigrants, melanated immigrants from all type of places, and they been pushing a narrative that really don't go with what we've been doing in Dallas. And Shelton, he uh, he say he from Sherman, but I feel like he realized that he did a linear check and figured out that he was a tether, so he gave up the ADOS chance that he was pushing at first. And also, that's what the brother said earlier about the police taking away everybody that was a witness phones. That's exactly what they did. Unfortunately, and since this a new field that they made like at least 2 3 years ago, it's for sure some video footage from the stadium that has the cause of what happened. So I'm sure they probably preserving it, and I'm pretty sure the brother gonna go out free. If not, he gonna get a, a accidental manslaughter type of case like that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to see how this thing is going to play out, man. Thank you so much. It's very interesting to see how this thing is going to play out. But yeah, people are watching this case, and they're watching our reaction. They're watching how we're handling it. They're seeing the position we're taking. We're taking an authoritative position. We are raising money for the young brother who's in prison. They don't like that because we're exercising our collective power to say no. You're not just going to railroad this person without a fight. See, the name of the game is for us to sit it out while they start railroading and lynching people. And we're just not going along with the program. We're just not going along with it. We're saying, hey, no, no, no. We're going to have some justice here. They do not like when we start taking authoritative roles. That is a major threat. That's the thing that's really bothering them. When Black people act authoritative, when we're just not reactive, we're going to be proactive about things. You see, when we start being authoritative, that challenges the racial hierarchy. See, white supremacy, it's based, ladies and gentlemen, on a strict racial caste system where Black people are expected to be subordinate. You understand? We're just supposed to bow down and just go along and just react whatever they do. So when a Black person is exercising authority, that disrupts that whole white subconscious belief that whiteness equals natural leadership and default correctness. Mhm. And see, and they look at Black authoritative figures as symbolizing historic payback. See, there's a deep-seated fear that Black people in power, they're going to get revenge for slavery and Jim Crow and ongoing racial abuse. See, every time we talk about reparations, that's why they always freak out. We start talking about reparations. Well, if you get reparations, are you going to get revenge? What are you going to do to me? It's all of this weird paranoia. What are you going to do with the money? They want to know what we're going to do with the money, where we're going to spend it, how much it's going to be, what bank account is going to be in. Are we going to diversify our portfolio? They want to know all the details. Are you going to hire a hitman to come shoot me? Is he going to be big and black like you? It's just this unwarranted ass paranoia that they have. You see, even when we're fair and neutral, it's like, oh no, no, I know you people. When you're around Blacks, you can never relax, which is a projection. That's a projection from them. So yeah, when we are in authoritative positions, see that exposes the myth of white supremacy and white superiority. See, when there's Black excellence seen in our leadership, see, that disproves the lie that Black people are inherently less intelligent or capable. See, authority magnifies this. See, yeah, that makes white insecurity surface. Because look, if we're not just completely suppressed, they're thinking it's going to be the Nat Turner rebellion. They still got fears of historic slave revolts. They got fear of the Black Seminoles. They know what it is. When we start thinking for ourselves, we start having maroon colonies. And remember, I break these maroon things. The Maroons was bringing it to their asses. They still have ancestral memory and trauma about them damn Maroons whooping their asses all up and down the East Coast and in the South and in Louisiana. They still have trauma behind that. They still have trauma behind John Horst and the Seminoles swooping down on them. See, they don't like to admit that Black folks was over here whooping their asses in small numbers. That's what the Seminole War was about. Y'all go watch my movie American Maroon. I break that down. Black Seminoles were whooping their asses. They did not beat them. They had to eventually make a deal with them and send them out to Oklahoma, send them out to Indian Territory because they could not handle them down in the South and in the East. They were whooping ass and they were not giving up. You see, so they just won't talk about it. In fact, when we talked about this in the movie, they made it a crime to even talk about the Black Seminoles whooping their asses in the media. Like, ooh, don't tell people we're getting our asses whooped. Ooh, don't you dare say that in the media because that's going to get everybody else riled up. It was against the law to report that them Black Seminoles was whooping that ass down there in Florida. You see, but you know what happened in the private messages? They were sending messages to each other. Hey, Ma, it's me, Dylan. These Negroes are whooping us pretty badly down here. Mama, want to come home. They were sending letters crying to their families that these Black Seminoles was whooping their asses down there. They're just so big and so black. I don't know what to do, Mom. Should we immigrate back to Ireland or something? I don't know. But yeah, they got that those ancestral memories. They still got that ancestral memory. They know what we're capable of. They know that. And also, listen, when we are in authoritative positions, that challenges the whole narrative of black dependency. See, they got this thing where we have to be saved, guided, and uplifted by white society. That's the whole narrative. In order for us to do anything constructive, there has to be white mommy and white daddy. They're guiding us. If black kids need to learn, oh, you're going to have a white teacher who knows the streets. No, that's why you remember in the 70s, they had all those TV shows based on the white savior teacher. That was a real big thing in the 70s, starting in well, it got popular in the 70s. You had TV shows like Welcome Back Kotter. Mr. Kotter was a white guy who had the so-called sweat hogs, these people of color, like a Puerto Rican, the black kid, the Jewish kid, and the Italian kid, which were basically proxies for urban blacks. That was kind of a proxy. So he's teaching these sweat hogs, these downtrodden, rowdy students. He's trying to teach them. Then you had shows like The White Shadow. Y'all remember that? I mean, it was bold back in the 70s. The White Shadow. How many of y'all remember the show The White Shadow? Now, you couldn't get away with no shit like that now. They had a show called The White Freaking Shadow. Raise your hand if y'all remember The White Shadow. They were just so blatant with it. White Shadow was like a white basketball coach um, whipping the black kids in shape. This was on network television. You see? This was on network damn television. Um, about this white coach. I forgot what city it was supposed to take place in. I forgot what city that the show took place in, but what year did the show happen? The show was 1978 to 1981. And yeah, the white coach with the black kids, you got to learn from the the good white coach. He's going to whip the Negroes into shape. It was that type of thing. A lot of them shows, and then you had movies with that theme. The white teacher goes into a rowdy neighborhood and whips the black kids into shape. So that whole thing of we have to be saved by whites in order for us to learn, in order for us to thrive, a white person has to come down and give us a bone. And they got to bring their white values to us so that we can see the error in our ways. See, that's why the dominant white society, they never really promoted our film Hidden Colors, even though it was a hugely successful documentary series. They never promoted it. Why? Because you got black people educating black people on our own terms. We don't have a white savior. We do not have a white savior in it. We didn't get a Jane Elliott. We didn't get a Tim Wise, because that's who they like to parade around to talk on black issues. They get those quote unquote allies. They're allies to a certain degree. They'll talk about white supremacy and they'll make a lot of money off of it. But when you start talking about reparations, well, Jane Elliott gets to flipping the script. She's like, "Oh no, 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 I'm against white supremacy and I'm all for the blacks, but reparations, ooh, that's too far." So, yeah, they ain't that liberal, you see. But yeah, when we teach ourselves and educate ourselves, they got a problem with that because that shows we don't need them. And then we can create something, an educational piece that's successful that goes against the norm because their whole thing is our culture is all about smoking blunts and twerking. They don't want to admit that one of the most popular documentary series from the black community is a documentary called Hidden Colors that's about education in history, where we have scholar warriors sitting down calmly and intelligently breaking down history. You see? And that film had become a cultural icon within itself. But the thing is, man, they don't like to show that type of black discipline. They don't like to show discipline, authoritative dispositions. They don't like to show that. See, black discipline, that's viewed as aggression. That's why they don't like the NOIs. People like that. When you see those NOIs all disciplined, well dressed, in shape, boy, that scares the shit out of them people. I shout out to the Hebrew Israelites when they see them brothers. You could say, you might have differences of opinion or whatever with those guys, but they're organized and they're disciplined. And when they're doing their thing, walking in unison, lockstep with each other, boy, the white supremacists start looking out of windows and closing curtains. They feel a certain way about that. But yeah, black discipline is viewed as aggression, you see. They're like, oh, he's about to get a revolt going.
Hi, I'm Mateo. Do you want to learn about Hidden Heroes? Hidden Heroes from A to Z is a cool book that tells the stories of amazing black heroes you might not know about. You'll meet inventors, you'll meet explorers, and leaders who change the world. It's fun, inspiring, and you can learn so much. Get your copy now at hiddenhistorymuseum.com. Let's discover our hidden heroes together.